Hi everyone, this is CricketSong with Lunar Wisdom, and today we're going to be discussing tarot spreads. Specifically, we're going to focus on the 3-card spread.
It is through YouTube and other social media channels that allows me to offer my support to other pagans such as yourself within our community. If you would like to be a part of that community, you can support me, CricketSong, and Lunar Wisdom by clicking the link to my Patreon page and read more about the benefits and rewards that you'll receive by pledging your support.
So the 3-card spread is fairly easy to remember, and it's a fairly easy spread to interpret, whether you're doing it for yourself or for someone else. What the most important key is, I feel, when doing this spread, is to understand what each card position represents. And this is where you can use the 3-card spread and be pretty versatile in how you're approaching the situation or the topic or the question that you or your querent has. So a couple of common things that are used with the 3-card spread. The first one being past, present, and future, meaning right now this is what the situation is. This what just happened yesterday, and this is what we'll see happen tomorrow. Or you can approach it in, this is my current situation, this is the challenge that I'm facing, and this is the possible outcome if I can get over this challenge. Those are the two most common ones I've seen. Other things you can keep in mind that you can possibly use is body, mind, and spirit. Or you can say this is the body, this is the mind, and this is the spirit. Or physical, emotional, spiritual, or physical, emotional, spiritual. You could also use the issue at hand, the background of the situation, and the advice. Whatever it is that you want to use, you could use different things with the 3-card spread. You want to have the intention of each position in mind before you place the cards, because you don't want to start manipulating the reading because you looked at the cards, got a quick overview, and then want to make the situation fit the cards. The cards should fit the situation. So let's go with the problem at hand, or the issue, the background, and what advice Spirit has for us, okay? So the background would be the situation would be the first card that you're going to lay out. So again, if we're doing sort of past, present, future, we may want to lay this card out first, or we may want to start from the past and work towards the future. Have that in mind as well as you place the cards. So in my scenario, we're going to go with the situation, or with the problem, the background of the problem, and the advice that Spirit has in regards to the problem. So then the next thing you want to sort of look at is the relationship each card has with each other. You want to look at the relationship that the cards have with each other. How many cards are upright? How many are reversed? How many suits or major arcana are present or are not present? Because sometimes suits that are not present or cards that are not present are also telling. And so since we only have 3 cards presented in this spread, any information would be helpful. So looking at that and considering those things I just mentioned, we have athames, which are swords, chalices, which are cups, and wands. which are wands. So we're actually seeing no pentacles in this particular spread. So there's no pentacles. So depending on what you believe the suit of pentacles represent, you want to take that into consideration. For me, pentacles represent the physical, they represent the practical, the logical, the quote factual. The other thing we want to take note is there's no major arcana cards represented here either. So when I see a major arcana card, generally that's a key point or a vital or an important piece of information. And because in this situation we see no major arcana cards, my feeling or my interpretation would be that this situation isn't something that is really vital or very important to the reading. So whatever this situation is, it is important, but it's not like a life-changing event. So whatever the situation is and whatever the outcome may be, it may feel very overwhelming or traumatic, but in the grand scheme of things, it isn't. And I would tell my querent or keep that in mind if I'm doing a reading for myself. The other thing I want to, and because there is a lack of pentacles, I would say that this situation is not really dealing with the physical, it's dealing with my emotional or my mental or my spiritual well-being. So I want to keep that in mind too. So regardless of the outcome, it's definitely going to affect me energetically, but it may not have a practical, it may not influence my physical or practical or logical life, but it's going to affect me emotionally. And when it affects me emotionally, it may ripple out to my physical, but it's not really dealing with physical concrete things. So then I see that 2 of the cards are reversed and 1 card is upright. Now if you read reversals, if you have specific meanings set for reversals, you want to take that into consideration. For me, I look at the relationship between the cards, and sometimes the reversed image does things, as I've said previously, or gives me a different interpretation. For example, if we look at the image in the 10 of Wands as in relationship to the image of the 3 of Chalices, we see that this figure is walking away from this group of 3 women. I would read this differently than if the card was upright and this individual was walking towards the 3 women. It's also similar to this image here. This image of this woman is facing the 3 women, and if it was in an upright position, her back would be towards the 3 women. So I would interpret this in a little bit of a different way. I feel like when she is looking at this and she's really colored in darkness, because of the light of the window, these women may be shining or illuminating, and she may be welcoming that. Whereas if she was in this position, the light coming in from the window is coming from a different source, and she has her back turned to these women. So that's the difference in how I would interpret this. Now, let's take a look at this particular interpretation if we're looking at the Rider-Waite, because the Rider-Waite, as we all know, this is a very different feel. And when I teach any sort of tarot class, we begin with the Rider-Waite only because it has very clear images on it, and it definitely gives a different interpretation. So I'm going to overlay the cards as I pull them out here. The 3 of Chalices and the 10 of Wands. Let's look at the 10 of Wands. Okay, so same thing, we'll just put these above. So I put them in the same position as the cards I just had in the 3-card spread. And again, very similar. This image, this figure has their backs towards these 3 individuals. This person, although this is very different, this person is walking towards the three individuals, where in the opposite way they were, in this card, they were walking away. So again, taking that into consideration when you do a reading. Just looking at these cards, definitely, especially the main card being the chalices, which is what I relate to emotions and relationships and filling our cup with these things. It makes sense to me that pentacles in this particular spread are not present. Okay, so let's move on to another spread and give you another example. So in this example, let's use past, present, and future. And this time when I lay out the cards, I'm going to lay them out in this way. I'm going to start with past, present, and future. So I definitely, when I'm doing a reading either for myself or for someone else, when it's a 3-card spread, I vocalize as I put it down, just like I said, past, present, future, so that I solidify what these cards mean in this particular situation. Now again, looking at these cards and considering things like, is there a relationship to these 3 cards? Number one, I noticed that they're all upright and they're all court cards. So this tells me something right off the bat. For me, when I read court cards, they represent generally a person or a personality, or they could represent the situation that this particular person is in that affects my querent or myself. So we're talking people here. We're talking about relationships here. And because we're talking about past, present, future, it seems like whatever is happening with me right now, it affects me in regards to the relationships that I have with these individuals. This person having me considering the relationship I had with them in the past, this individual, what my relationship is like with them now in my present, and what will happen in regards with me and this person in my future. Now this could be the same person, but their personal development in and how I'm relating to them. What do I mean by that? For example, the Page of Athames, for me, when I look at the court cards, represents a very young, eager individual, someone who is like a child. The Queen and King represent full maturity in an individual, like an adult or an elder. And the Knight of Pentacles represents an adolescent individual, someone who is going through and growing and changing and shifting. Now, it doesn't necessarily give ages, because when I read, I'm reading the energy of the situation. So someone could be, 50, but have the energy of the Page of Athames, this young, eager energy. They could be 3 and have the energy of, the Knight going through changes or shifting. But that gives us an understanding of where one individual may be going through the different changes or the different energy of the court cards. And then I look at each of the suits represented, Athames, chalices, and pentacles, and I have my own associations to these elements, to these symbols, and I would take that into consideration. So what does the Page of Athames mean for me? Well, it talks about someone very young, eager energy, someone somewhat immature, dealing with a situation that may put them on defensiveness. They may feel tense, anxious, fearful, feel like they have to defend themselves. They may have a chip on their shoulder. So when I'm looking at my past, present, and future, I consider if I can identify someone like this in my life and what my relationship is like to them, to give me better insight into the situation I'm dealing with right now. That's how I would read a spread, a 3-card spread dealing with past, present, future with those particular cards. So then you can look at body, mind, and spirit. So again, I would say, okay, this is going to be body. This is going to be mind, and this is going to be spirit. So if I want some insight, just general insight on what's going on with me in regards to body, mind, and spirit, then again, I would look at the cards. First thing I notice is they're all reversed. Second thing I notice is they're all major arcana cards. So whatever I'm going through right now in body, mind, and spirit, this situation, this point in my life, this is a major life change for me because I see 3 major arcana cards. Now, the only way that this wouldn't, for me, be a very major shift or a major experience is if I'm only doing readings with the major arcana cards. Some people may just work with major arcana and don't even bring the suits into it. If that's the case, then I would say that every card's going to be a major arcana card. But if I'm using all of the cards, the pips and the trumps, then I would say, well, this is a point where something serious, something life-changing, something very transformative is happening for me at this point. Body, what is physically happening with me? Mind, what is happening with me? And spiritually, what is happening with me? So then I would take those symbols. So let's say, for example, the star, the keyword is dreams. The wild hunt, this is actually the Tower card and the Rider-Waite. So maybe we're talking about transformation, destroying the old to make way for the new. And the wheel of the year is the Wheel of Fortune. So we say, you know, having belief, faith, taking a leap of faith into something. So then I would look at how that would affect me. And that's how I would read that. So that's how I generally read the 3-card spread. If you have used the 3-card spread, if you have other suggestions in regards to the 3-card spread, please share it with me. And if you're doing readings and you're using that, I would love to see a sample reading. And if you make a video, please let me know. Send me the link so I can take a look at it. Until next time, I love you.
If you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or any other social media platform. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. This way you won't miss any of my newly uploaded videos. Be sure to connect with me on Facebook through my CricketSong fan page or my Lunar Wisdom business page. And you can always find me on my website at www.lunarwisdom.net.